How sublime and uplifting is the music we have just heard. And brethren, when you think that the greatest music ever written was inspired by the idea of God, concept of God. Our Creator deserves the best. And so young people, thank you for the music, and don't spare any effort to do your best when praising God in music. And also in everything we do, whether we eat or drink, whatever else we do, for the glory of God, right? So today I'm here in front of you to speak about the topic of God's existence. It is strange, it is perplexing and concerning that many people deny God's existence. Some people say, I don't know, I don't care. Some people even hate God. It's so strange. Many people have wrong ideas about God's character. And the great controversy that goes on in this world today as the main purpose, not only our salvation, but the purpose is to vindicate God's character and to show to this world and unseen worlds to everyone who God truly is. Especially for younger generation, people who are entering on the world stage and who are confronted with these different ideas about God, we in the church need to provide some answers, some directions, and some guidance. If you remember, I spoke here last time about what are the consequences if God does not exist. And I'd like to briefly remind you, does God exist and does it matter? You probably remember what we spoke about. In the Bible we are told that we should give reasons for the hope that is in us. In 1 Peter 3:15 we are told, but sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer, in Greek apologia, to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. So when people ask us for the reason of our hope, and we do have a hope, we have a blessed hope, we should be able to give them what? Answer. Apologia. The word apologetics comes from this source. And this is not that you apologize for something. No, no, no. You're giving an answer for the reason of your hope. And how you do it. So you have reasons. Reasons means logical evidence, right? Of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. We don't do it arrogantly. We do not do it with pride or to humiliate someone or to defeat someone. No, you can win the argument and lose the soul. So that's not the purpose, but we have to humbly, meekly give reasons for the hope that is in us. And then we spoke about the question, if God does not exist, life is absurd. This is not a proof, what we talk about, absolute proof for God's existence, but it shows that the question of God's existence is the most important question one can ask. The most important question you and I can ask is the question whether God exists and what if He doesn't exist? What is the consequence? And many people don't think about that. There are three important notions if God does not exist. Meaning, significance, why something matters. We have this affects the meaning of life. Second, values. Distinction between good and evil, right and wrong. If God does not exist, this profoundly affects the values, moral values. And third, the purpose of life. A goal or reason for doing something. What is the purpose of my life? So these are the big questions in life. Where I'm coming from, how I should live, and where I'm going. What is the purpose of my life? And every one of us, every young person, old person, middle-aged person, must know answers to these questions. So the biblical God we speak about is the all-powerful, perfectly good creator of the world who offers us eternal life. If such God does not exist, then life is absurd. In other words, life has no ultimate meaning, value, or purpose. Some atheists experience meaning, values, and purpose, but they are subjective illusions. I spoke just recently regarding this topic with one person, who was an educated person, and he said, no, look, if you're an atheist, you still have a meaning and purpose in life. You can have a family, you can have a profession, you can do some good things, you can be, pursue various careers and do good things in this world. And I said, look, this is your subjective value that you attach to this. But objectively, if there is no God, you're just a product of accident, cosmic accident. And ultimately, the second law of thermodynamics, we will mention that today. Later, if it operates, so there is an entropy from higher state of energy, everything goes down to a lower state of energy, and ultimately the universe will die. And after, millions or billions of years, who cares what you did in this life? No one cares. There's no purpose, objectively. You can give one purpose or meaning, another gives another purpose or meaning, third person another meaning of purpose, but objectively there is no purpose or meaning if there is no God. Ultimately, everything will be obsolete and dead. Who cares you were a medical doctor treating some people and caring for the poor and needy and doing all kind of charitable work? If God doesn't exist, you die. Who cares? No objective values, moral, good, right and wrong. So, but meaning, who you are or what you do ultimately does not matter, because you will die and humanity and the universe will become extinct. Therefore, if God does not exist, ultimately our lives are without meaning or significance. Second, no ultimate values. If God does not exist, then objective, ultimate moral values, good and evil, right and wrong, do not exist. But atheists will say moral values are just the accidental spin-offs of the evolutionary process and social conditioning. And look what one of them said, Stuart Easton. There is no objective reason why man should be moral unless morality pays off in his social life or makes him feel good. There is no other reason to be moral unless you have some benefit and makes you feel good. Then you are moral. Otherwise, you're not moral. You do whatever you like, whatever makes you, gives you pleasure and pays off. So, all we are confronted with is bare, valueless fact of existence. This is what Sartre said. So you see, without God, there are serious consequences about our life, meaning, moral values, as well as in purpose. So there is no purpose without God. There is no goal, no purpose in the universe. A dead universe will just go on expanding and expanding. That is on naturalistic, atheistic presupposition, how the life will end. However, we confronted this worldview with a biblical worldview, and the Bible, on very first sentence in the Bible, very first verse, says what? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Very first sentence in the Bible is God exists and He creates heavens and the earth. He creates the whole show and puts you in that. In John 1:1-3, I'd like to just highlight why creation is so important, when we talk about the existence of God. We study now the Gospel of John, and look how it opens. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now remember, the word in Greek language is logos, from which we have the word logical. Logos means a word, but also means a principle, a reason, a wisdom. So universe is based on the word, on intelligence. Word means intelligence. If you walk in the desert and you find on the sand dune word written, word love, what you would think immediately? Somebody was here. There is a meaning encoded in the word. So you see, logos, word. So this is the foundation of the universe. The same was in the beginning with God, And all things were made by him, we know the Logos, the Word, Jesus Christ, and without him was not anything made that was made. This is why we talk about God and creation. It's very important. And you will see why as we come to the end of the whole of this world history. Now, if you go to Colossians 1, Apostle Paul affirming the same thought in chapter 1, verses 15 to 17. Who is the image, Christ, of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. We will talk in a few moments about astrophysics and the so-called four forces of physics. You have gravitational force, electromagnetic force, weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force that keep together the atoms, subatomic particles. We have photons, bosons. Where did they come from? Who keeps them together? When you have protons, and protons have positive charge, and they are, normally they would be going against each other, but they are kept together. Who keeps them together? Where is the energy coming from? See, this is how we connect physics and reality with the source, Logos. By him, everything consists. He was before everything. We will see in a moment that atheistic philosophy, naturalistic philosophy, they have a problem of the beginning of the universe, how the universe came into existence. There is no answer to that question. An answer that they give is absurd. Came out of nothing. Now you tell me, have you ever seen something coming out of nothing? And what is nothing? Hebrews 11:6, this is the key text. But without faith it is impossible to please him, God. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, that he exists. You must first believe that he exists, God. And not only that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So you have the faith that God is, he exists, because you see his handiwork. And the second thing, you believe that he is acting in history, in your life and my life. He is a rewarder. So there are consequences how you relate to God. Whether you love him, obey him, serve him, or you hate him and go against him. There are consequences. And this is the reason you go to the heart of the hearts of most atheists. Unspoken reason why they deny God's existence. Because they know somewhere in the back of their mind, if they admit or acknowledge that he exists, there are consequences. If there is a creator of the whole universe, who created you and me, and who created moral laws, and who has certain standards how we should live. People don't like it. People rebel against God. We will see later on. Many people say, oh, if I could see, I would believe. Nonsense. We will see that God gives sufficient evidence. How the rebellion started in heaven. Lucifer, where was he? Where was he? In the immediate presence of the Almighty. Does he know that God exists? Oh, yes. Does he love God or obey God? No. See, and for us today, it's very important because our message is based on the doctrine of creation. How do we know that? Revelation 14, first angel's message. Also, and I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. And what? Worship him. Whom? Him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. Yes, He's the God, the Creator, so we worship Him who made everything. So creation of God, or creation that is recorded in the Bible, is the very essence of worship. And why we worship today, why we worship on the seventh-day Sabbath? Because Sabbath is what? Memorial of creation. This is the very heart of our message, that God exists, that He is the Creator, He made everything, and we worship the true God because we keep His holy day on which He rested. So this is the introduction. So why believe God? We want to give good reasons why to believe in God's existence. Now, I'll tell you something you cannot. We plan to witness in the community. And this, what I will speak about today, can be useful, maybe a little bit more kind of practical for young people who are going to schools and they are using maybe books and so on. They may be familiar with certain terms and signs. But anyway, even with the basic ordinary person on the street, you can talk about these things. You cannot prove without any question or doubt God's existence. You can give very powerful, compelling reasons for God's existence, but you cannot give mathematical proof. You understand? We have conviction, we have sufficient reason, but somebody who wants to doubt can still raise objections. And if you go to internet and to the textbooks and so on, you will find that argument that we present here, there are people who are still objecting to these arguments and bringing up, but these reasons, or how to say, objections, can be refuted. However, there are still people who believe them and they simply adhere to them. And this is why I would like to give you 5 good reasons to believe in God. Again, ultimately, there is enough reasons, sufficient evidence for God's existence. However, please understand that people still can choose to disbelieve. Still can choose to disbelieve. But for those who want to believe, there is sufficient reason. First is origin of the universe. Second is the fine-tuning of the universe for intelligent life. Third one is existence of objective moral values and duties in the world. The fourth one is the historical facts concerning Jesus of Nazareth. And the fifth one, God can be personally experienced or known. So this is not an argument. This is something that you personally can know about God from your own spiritual life. I will not be able today to cover all these arguments. I will cover just the first 2. When I started to prepare the study, I realized it's too much material, but we will, God willing, in the future deal with other ones. So let me here give you spirit of prophecy statement that is very interesting, that we have sufficient evidence, but doubting is still possible. God never asks us to believe without giving sufficient evidence upon which to base our faith. You hear that? His existence, His character, the truthfulness of His word are all established by testimony that appeals to our what? Reason. And this testimony is abundant. Yet God has never removed the possibility of doubt. Our faith must rest upon evidence, not demonstration. Those who wish to doubt will have opportunity, while those who really desire to know the truth will find plenty of evidence on which to rest their faith. Steps to Christ 105. Isn't that beautiful? Amen. So when people tell you, oh, science and religion, these are 2 different fields. No, if you bring religion, this is not scientific. This is wrong. John Lennox, well-known Oxford mathematician, he was arguing, and very compellingly, he said, all science is done by faith. He said, scientists rely on the laws of nature. And how you can rely on the laws of nature that came into existence without intelligent creator or designer? How can you trust them? You trust them. How do you trust your reasoning powers that you are not deluded? But I will not go there. Every step of the way, they are having hypotheses and they're having theories and so on. You are working on certain presuppositions by faith. So Sister White is saying clearly here that God gives sufficient evidence for his existence, and he doesn't ask us to believe without giving us sufficient evidence upon which to base our faith. His existence, his character, the trustworthiness of his word, all are established by testimony that appeals to our reason. So we can observe the evidence and then come to conclusions that are logical conclusions. Anyway, let me give you some of these reasons that you can see for yourself whether we have evidence. So faith is not a jump in the dark. Faith, biblical faith, is based on certain evidence for God's existence. How about the origin of the universe? Humans have always been puzzled by the origin of the universe. By the way, I like this image. What do you think about that? Could you imagine in ancient times, ancient Greece or Babylon or Egypt, when people that did not have this light pollution that we have in the big cities today, and you come out in the night, starry sky, and you look up, like Abraham, and you look at the sky, and you are wondering. But I'll tell you, the ancient people were not foolish in every way. They knew there is something higher than humans who brought this into existence. And this was interestingly true even of the Greek philosophers, ancient Greeks. Matter was necessary, uncreated, eternal, so they did not understand as we do today that God created, but they believed that God introduced order in the cosmos but did not create it. So they were not completely clear, but they believed there must be some God who keeps that in order, maintains order in the universe. However, the Bible tells us in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. In that sense, biblical religion goes above the polytheism, above these idol worshippers, because God creates everything and then he creates us. In the Greek philosophy, the matter is eternal. It existed, pre-existed, but God just rearranges and organizes and orders it. Now, but all Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, affirm that God created the universe without pre-existing matter, which we say out of nothing. Out of nothing. We call it ex nihilo. So, it's interesting when you come to this point, belief in God, Creator, that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, we all basically believe the same. So this is the point if you're witnessing to someone. Now, when you come to pantheists, like Hindus, Buddhists, they have a different view of God. God is not personal. So we have to know how to approach them in a different way. So this is a good way to ask them the questions. How this came into existence, right? And now I will first present the cosmological argument, which is very simple, and you can memorize it. It's not very complicated. You're having premises, two premises, and then you have conclusion. Now this is deductive reasoning, and please, we all use it. But what it means, you make first premise, then you make a second premise, and the conclusion must logically, necessarily follow from the premises. So first the premises have to be logical, and they have to be true. If this is satisfied, conclusion follows. If I say, for example, that Jaromir is a human, and if I say all humans are mortal, what follows? Jaromir is mortal, right? That's a logic. And this Bible operates on that. Now we have here this argument. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. First premise. Now tell me, is this true? Yeah. Do you know anything that exists that has a beginning that doesn't have a cause? Every one of us who are sitting here have a cause of our existence, right? Immediate, I mean parents, but ultimately God, right? How about your house? How about your money you have in a bank account? Huh? Cause and effect. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. This is observable fact. Now, the second premise is the universe began to exist. Universe has a beginning. Now, if everything what has a beginning has a cause, then the normal conclusion is that universe must have a cause. Make sense? Makes sense, right? Everything that begins has a cause. And universe has a cause. I mean, begins to exist, actually. Everything what begins to exist has a cause, and universe has a begin to exist, so universe must have a cause. Now, this diagram, or this image, is from, I think, NASA. And this is a scientific model, how the universe came into existence. Now, we don't agree with everything necessarily what they say, but we basically agree that universe had a beginning. This was not a common knowledge or common belief until maybe 60, 70 years ago, when the Big Bang Theory came into existence. And by the way, you know who actually created the Big Bang Theory? It was a Roman Catholic priest from Belgium, Lemaitre. Interestingly. No, I'm not questioning, but we agree basically that universe, and he established universe has a beginning. Now they are saying the universe, that we observable universe, is about 13.7 billion years old. I'm not accepting this, but okay, this is what they say. But it has beginning, very far distant past. Okay, so that's a model. Okay, so then you have this huge explosion in a split second, then it is expanding, there is a dark ages for stars, galaxy formation, and so on. So we are looking now at the validity of the first premise. Is it valid? Everything that begins to exist has a cause. To deny the premise one is to deny the law of causality, which is foundation of virtually all scientific inquiry. So you cannot simply deny that. No scientist dares to deny first premise, which everything that begins to exist has a cause. It will be, you will deny rationality, because there is always cause and effect. Conclusions follows, from certain reasons. Even skeptic philosopher David Hume stated, "I have never asserted so absurd a proposition as that something could arise without a cause." So, Hume was a great skeptic, and he was challenging things, but he never denied cause and effect. Okay, now, how about the universe? What is this? So they are saying universe just popped up, just came into existence, out of nothing. Now, when you have a magician, he brings, pulls the rabbit out of the hat, but at least you're having a magician, you're having a hat. But these atheistic philosophers don't have even that, out of nothing. Now, this defies the reason. But some people want to believe that. So they are raising objections. First objections, universe came into existence without any cause. Something cannot come from nothing, as we mentioned. You cannot pull rabbit out of, the universe comes into existence. And then there are some are saying there are virtual particles. This is in quantum mechanics. Vacuum in the physics is a sea of fluctuating energy governed by physical laws and having physical structure. So when they talk about quantum mechanics and some elementary particles, they are still floating in this energy, sea of energy. It's not nothing, this vacuum, quantum vacuum. It's something and has a structure, physical structure. Oh, what happened? Now, second, if something can come into existence from nothing, that it is inexplicable why just anything doesn't come into being from nothing. It's called taxicab fallacy. So what if you read atheistic authors, the first thing they will tell you, oh, you know what? The law of cause and effect that we have in this universe is only operating in this universe what we know. But we don't know how Outside of universe, things work. Hear that? So they admit the cause and effect operate in this visible universe, but outside of universe, we don't know how whether the law of cause and effect operate. And this is a logical fallacy. You cannot do that. You cannot now assume, oh, well, it works now in the universe, it doesn't work outside of universe. There must be cause, of course, for the existence of the universe. If everything has a cause, what is God's cause? You hear about that? Yeah, people will tell you, oh, if everything has a cause, who caused God? Okay, so how you will answer such objections? Now, please remember, what is our premise? Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Now, just let me ask you a question. How would you answer? Just think about the first premise. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. And they say, who caused God? What is a logical fallacy? Exactly, that's it. Thank you. We have clearly said everything that begins to exist has a cause, but God is uncaused. He begins by his very nature, by essence. You are having other things that, have in their very nature potentiality for, existence, uncaused. Think about the numbers. Mathematically numbers. They're there. This is another powerful argument, how mathematical reality exists independently from us. And the real world in which we live corresponds with the mathematical reality. And who brought that together? It's an amazing argument. Anyway, so you see, when you begin to reason with these people who are denying the cause, so they imagine that they have said something very important when all they've done is misunderstand the premise. Premise does not say that everything has a cause. It says that everything that begins to exist has a cause. Something that is eternal wouldn't need cause since it never came into being. So the Bible starts, in the beginning was the Word, right? Already was there. In the beginning, God created. So he says, I am who I am. Self-existing, always existing, never beginning, Alpha and Omega. Okay. So I want to tell you, especially young people, when you are facing these skeptics, don't be intimidated. Sometimes their objections look, very persuasive, very compelling, very intimidating, but you just slow down, don't rush. Don't give up your Christian faith in the Bible to the atheists and skeptics. Now, they tried to attack the second premise. The universe began to exist. But science is disproving them because they now admit the universe had a beginning. Had a beginning. So the most scientists agree that the universe had a definitive singular starting point in time, as we mentioned in the Big Bang. And at the Big Bang, the universe did not explode into previously empty space. All space, time, and matter came into existence. That's very interesting. We cannot even imagine it. We cannot live, we can reality without space and time and matter and energy. This is given for us. We cannot imagine how the world would look before it existed. Because space came into existence. You heard about black holes? How the universe can collapse in black holes, just disappear. This is something that is hard to understand. But before God created the world, and even they admit, before Big Bang, there was no space, no time. So somebody who created the whole universe must live outside of space and time and matter, as we know it. See how great is the God whom we serve. So the universe literally exploded out of nothing. And scientists in the 1950s and 60s, when this theory came out, they were very reluctant to acknowledge it because it was undermining their atheistic supposition that because they were believing, like ancient Greeks, that matter and energy and space are eternal. Now science is proving it's not eternal. It came into existence. And then Though men may have postulated alternative theories, there are several lines of evidence for the new, now standard Big Bang theory forming the acronym SURGE. I will not go into that, but you can, if you want to read more about that, you will find. So now the second evidence that we have beginning in the universe is the second law of thermodynamics. So the second law of thermodynamics lets us know that systems will become increasingly disorderly with decreasing amount of usable energy until they finally reach equilibrium. And what is this equilibrium? It's a heat death. Temperature and pressure would be the same everywhere. If the universe were eternal, by now it would be without order or usable energy. So for example, it's very simple. When you use energy, you are coming to, for example, internal combustion engine, and you are thinking, what is the efficiency of the engine? How much usable energy you can get? You put the fuel there, and how much energy you get? You don't get 100%, right? So you see, the energy that exists in the universe is slowly, it's called entropy, it's slowly decreasing. It's proven beyond doubt. Now, if the universe was eternal, we should have reached already the point of entropy or collapse. That's very interesting thought. But which tells you that we are not there yet, so it must be a beginning. We are coming, we are moving in that direction. And to me, it's a very interesting question. If God would not intervene, what would happen with the universe? You know? But do you know what the Bible says? That God will create what? The new heavens and new earth. I'm thinking about that. What does it mean? How these laws of astrophysical and physical laws will operate when God creates new heaven and new earth. Because He's the source. He must continually provide energy to sustain the universe because it's just deteriorating. So this is another powerful proof that universe has the beginning. Like a closed system, this system is winding down like a clock that was wound some finite time ago. And here is the diagram, that energy before and then usable energy, and you are coming down and you have more and more unusable energy, which is the law of entropy, and you're having Rudolf Clausius and Ludwig Boltzmann, scientists who have confirmed these laws of thermodynamics. Now, Edwin Hubble found that light from observable galaxies look redder than expected. We call it the red shift. It's most likely due to the stretching of the wavelength of light as the galaxies grew more and more distant from the Earth. And looks like a balloon. So you see, if you have a balloon, and the balloon is first small, and you put some buttons on the balloon, as you blow the balloon and the balloon expands, these buttons are fixed, but now they are moving further and further apart from each other. And this is happening with the universe. This is a very interesting observation. So there was an Adventist geologist, scientist, who was making very interesting observations when Hubble was looking at the universe with his telescope, and he was observing this red and blue shift. He observed that this Earth appears to be in the center of the universe. Well, it's a very interesting thought. One day it will be in the center. God's throne will be here, right? On the earth. God will dwell with us, with humans, redeemed humans. But which tells us convincingly that universe had a beginning and it's expanding. Okay. Now, if you retrace the steps in time and go back, if this balloon would be shrinking, you would come to the point zero, which is called singularity. Singularity is point when everything exploded, came into existence, which tells you again that astronomical observation confirms that universe had a beginning and is expanding. And this is called singularity, this point. Now we are also having some other evidence, and I will not, cosmic microwave background radiation, great galaxy seeds, and Einstein theory of general relativity. Now, why is general relativity important? As you know, Einstein developed this theory around 1950, 1917. He established that time, space, and matter are interdependently relative, came into existence at the same point in the remote past. The universe had a beginning. So general theory of relativity confirms again scientific proof that there was a beginning, and time, space, matter, and energy are all coming into existence, and they are interrelated. Using the theory, the scientists predicted and discovered evidence for the expanding universe, CMBR, and the great galaxy seeds. Now, this is a cutting edge of science in astrophysics and astronomy, which confirms universe had a beginning. Okay, so, and if he had a beginning, who was the beginning of the universe? That's a good question. Now, everything that has a comes into existence, begins to exist, has a cause. And now, second premise is the universe came into existence, had a beginning, right? So it must have a cause. Who is the cause of the universe? That's a very interesting question. Now, if some people are saying the cause could be some physical laws that existed. But if you imagine, say, that pre-existing condition was like, let's imagine a faucet, and you are having set, the faucet is running, water is running through the faucet. What would you have in the sink all the time? You would have a wet sink, right? But what if you have a dry sink, water stopped? What do you assume? Somebody stopped the water, right? So somebody has to be there who has a will, free agent who will turn on and off this process of cosmic, cosmogony, how the universe came into existence. But it is something, if someone freely chooses to turn a faucet on, cause, the sink will be only wet, effect after the cause. If the cause of the Big Bang was always banging, if you can say that, the universe effect would always have existed, which is not the case. See, these conditions, somebody did something in the beginning when it came into existence. There must be a cause. In conclusion, the cause of the Big Bang freely chose to cause it. A free act of the will is the only case in which a timeless cause can produce a temporal effect. Someone who is timeless, who is outside of time and space and matter and energy, he caused the universe to come into existence. That's a powerful evidence. So let us restate the argument. First, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Second, the universe, all space, time, and matter began to exist. There is a Big Bang. Therefore, the universe has a cause. If premises 1 and 2 are more plausible, likely than not, then the conclusion logically follows. So we are not saying with absolute certainty. We are just saying it's more likely, more reasonable that universe has a cause and that this cause is a personal cause, someone who is supreme being. In the court of law, we do not prove facts, with mathematical, scientific precision. We prove the facts. The standard of proof is, in the civil cases, is the, balance of probability. What is more likely? In the criminal cases, this is the beyond reasonable doubt. So this is what we're doing here. If you're logical, here are the facts, scientific facts and logic. Look at that. Because it seems plausible that the cause of the Big Bang was not constantly Big Banging. The cause of the universe is plausibly personal, spaceless, timeless, powerful God. And why I believe in God? Look, this is the chart of elemental particles. And if you look at the right column, you are having bosons. These are subatomic particles. You are having electrons, neutrons, protons, and then you are having these even smaller particles. They are called elementary. There is nothing smaller than them. They are the very foundation of all the matter. And one of them is called photon. Photons. What is photon? Particles of light, having both wave and particle, nature. Light is in the very foundation of the matter. The tiniest particles, it's both matter and energy. Was light in the beginning somewhere when God was creating? Genesis 1. And God said, let there be what? Light, photons. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Genesis 1, 3, and 4. How he did it? Psalm 33, 9. For he spake, and it was done. He commanded, it stood fast. Instantly. This is what science confirms. came instantly. Wow, I have to stop. I have to stop. I cannot go into argument for fine-tuning. It's amazing how finely tuned is our universe for life. For life. If you want to believe in God, we have plenty of evidence. Plenty of evidence to trust the Bible. Trust the God. And I will then finish. Psalm 19, 1-3. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech, no language, where their voice is not heard. May you believe him, especially young people. Believe the word of God. He loves you. He created you for a purpose. He created you in his image. And when we strayed, when we rebelled, he was going to seek us and to find us. And he sent his son Jesus Christ to die for you and for me. This is the God we serve. Amazing, loving God. May we know him and may we spend eternity with him. Amen.